Welcome back to the Road to $1 Million podcast. Today, I'm with Cody Brace, owner of Keystone Detail in Erie, Pennsylvania. Cody is 26 years old and started his detailing business back in 2018. He actually just had a record sales month in the month of October and did $32,500 in sales. So congrats on that, Cody. And huge thanks for coming on, man. I think Cody and I have a lot in common. So it made for a really fun and interesting episode. I think you guys will enjoy. Don't forget, you guys can use the timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, today I'm with Cody from Keystone Detailing in Erie, Pennsylvania. Cody, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Glad to be here.
Of course, man. It's my pleasure. I have down that you started in 2018. So I want to know first and foremost, how did you get started? Like, what did that journey look like?
Yeah, so that's pretty accurate. 2018 would be like when I technically started the business. I was detailing a couple years before that. I'm 26 right now, and so I would have been like 18. It was right after graduating high school. I was already detailing cars personally and just doing friends and families, but everyone was in senior year doing the whole college application thing. Um, Both my parents were small business owners, never went to college. So I'm like, I actually got halfway through applying for like student loans, and I was like, this is just too difficult. I'm not doing this. And so I'm like, I'm gonna just figure out something else. And worked with my dad for a lot of years in construction. That's what he does, but did detailing for those first probably 2 years on the side. And then I was like, I can't work with him anymore. We just butted heads a lot. So it's like I either gotta go full time into this and make it work, or do something else entirely. And then decided to go full time. Worked out of his garage for about the first year, year and a half, and then found a shop like sooner than expected. It's been a great spot, and that was kind of the point where I really started taking it seriously, like realizing I needed help, couldn't just be me, and that's been in the last like 4 to 5 years. So a lot has happened in that time, and now we're here.
How many people do you have on your team right now?
Currently at the shop at this moment in time, one full-time guy, one part-time guy, and then I also do have a virtual assistant as well.
Okay. What does your virtual assistant help with?
So the biggest things she started helping with at first was like handling my email. So great book by Dan Martell, how to how to buy back your time, pretty sure. He talks about, he has what's called an email GPS system. So I set that up. It's really awesome. And so she'll go in, like filter everything, respond to what she can. There's been a lot of training there, but pretty much have inbox zero every day. I'll check my email like one time a day. I don't have notifications on for that or anything. Try to like be a minimalist in that regard because there's so much other stuff going on drawing your attention every day. And so that's a big thing, but she'll help just with little tasks like calling places if I need it, or um, one cool thing that I always forget to do is send people cards for birthdays and stuff. So she has like all those dates and sends out cards with a service for us. People love that.
Wow.
And uh, she'll just help with really whatever she can. She's done some minor like editing, design stuff for me, and working on leveling up her capabilities. She's never been like an assistant before. She worked for another company for like 12 years prior to me, managing like 100 people. And it
Wow.
was a totally different role, but she's based in the Philippines and she's super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm convinced that most people that live in the Philippines, at least that are hungry enough to want to be a VA for someone in America, that they're really good people. They're hard workers. Like Lorraine, she's just been a total blessing for us, and she helps us
Yeah,
so much.
I'd love to learn more about uh, how she helps you. 'Cause it's like it's a big unlock, and now it's just normal for me. But so many books or podcasts I listen to are like, you need a virtual assistant before anything, and uh, maybe you've read the 4 Hour Work Week, but Tim Ferriss talks about virtual assistants in there. That was like my first taste of it, and it was years before I ever got one, and it's just it's such a big help.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to not be like a micromanager of your VA, because I think you can do that. So have had a few people ask me, like, do you feel like since you've hired Lorraine, do you feel like it's been like you're just managing her time? And I'm like, no, I think that she can critically think and do, yeah, she can do that kind of constructive thinking on her own. It's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, there still needs to be checks in place to verify the quality and make sure that everything's good. But it's not, it's not anywhere near like if she spends 20 hours on a project, I don't think that we're spending 30 minutes just double checking and verifying the work that's been done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and that's something even I'm working on because I this is my first ever virtual assistant. She's been with me for like a year and a half, and trained her on the things I wanted her to do right in the beginning. But lately, like we've been so busy, I've been getting pulled more to like installing film and tint because we don't really have anyone else right now for those things. So that's taken up a lot of my time, and I'm trying to get her to the point where she's like just substantially more proactive and thinking on her own, which she does, but there's sometimes where I'm like, man, she could have handled that, or say something in the email. It's like trying to get her thinking, like, how can I help uh, me be more effective and just focus on like the what's going to move the needle. Let me focus on that kind of stuff because that's ultimately, I mean, what a virtual assistant is going to help you do.
Yeah. Can you give an example of when you say that, like what you mean?
Yeah. So, say for example, and she's pretty good most of the time about this, but an email comes in from, I don't know, maybe a client or just someone I'm working with, like one of our tax people, and they like need a document. She's filtering from the inbox, and so she's putting them in these categories. And it's like if you see an email that someone's asking for something, you should be going out. That should be your task. Is like, okay, I need to figure out how to get them this document, so I don't have to go on when I check those filters to see my email. And like, great that she moved it, but I still need to go find him that document digitally, which if it's anything digital, she pretty much has access to like a lot of those documents. And if she didn't, reaching out to me like, hey, where can I find this or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's hard when it's virtual, but another thing I've noticed too, I think that you have to make sure you give them permission and like that you set clear boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, that took a lot in the beginning. I'm sure it's probably the same for you as well. Do you use like a do you use a password manager?
No, is that
Oh man,
is that just like where you store all your passwords for different accounts and stuff like that?
yeah, that's been an absolute game changer, even with our team here at the shop, because there's like certain subscriptions that we have that I want some of my guys to log into, or especially my VA, because she has access to most of my banking stuff, like a lot of kind of sensitive things that we've worked up to over the year and a half, and I trust her fully with that stuff. But I can securely share those logins with her via like I use LastPass. Another one is 1Password that a lot of people use. But you can put everything in there and share it securely, and then they just need an account and can accept it and then view it. And then like with those things, I only know 1Password, which is my master password to get into there. and I don't know any other passwords for any accounts, like the 300 and some that I have, which is great. It just frees up your mental space.
That's crazy. That's a lot of passwords, man.
Yeah, they just add up. You don't realize how many you have until they're like all in one place.
Yeah. I feel like I'm guilty of probably using about 5 passwords total.
Yep, that was me for a while, and uh, some people have to learn the hard way. But I got hacked like years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and got like $2,000 stolen from me.
Mm.
I didn't get it back, so I went on a
Oh,
whole I went down a whole rabbit hole on internet security and
yeah.
leveling up my secure internet presence, and I've not had a problem since. But that was one of the big things, was getting a password manager.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that I think that's how most people learn.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it's unfortunate. I probably need to take that and make some changes.
Yeah, and it was like 2 days of me literally doing nothing else but sorting through passwords and trying to reset everything that was like important information so that they couldn't get anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just pulling my hair out. But after that, it's been great once you get used to it. Like anytime I create a new password, I just go in there and generate one, and it
Mm.
stores it and good to go.
Mm. Well, I want to talk about. I know we were talking about before we started recording, working with Grant Menard. You were doing some coaching with him at one
Yeah,
point. I want to know if you're willing to share and talk about that. When was that, and what was it that you were struggling with in your business at that time?
that would have been probably 3 years ago, roughly. Oh no, maybe like four, to be honest. Yeah,
So like 2021.
yeah, I'd say around that time. I don't even know how I met Grant. I feel like everyone knows of Grant. Um, and we worked together for he's probably half a year, and was just trying to figure stuff out. I mean, I'm still figuring stuff out. I think we all
As we all
are.
are.
Yeah, and you see what he's done with a business like ours in our industry, and it's like, man, at least for me, that's what I'm working towards. I don't really see myself as an installer at this point, honestly. I don't even really care about cars. I just see a car, I'm like, there's another car. And I just want to do other stuff with my life. So trying to really develop the business owner side of things and treat it as a business, because it started as a passion. It's like, man, I love doing this. And now uh, it's not so much of a love doing it. I more so love like the action of now working towards putting the systems in place and like building the teams. And I've had, these are my third and fourth employees now, but one and two, like they were okay, but I just didn't know what I didn't know. I've learned a lot of hard lessons up till now with like setting expectations and even getting like systems and processes in place to make sure stuff is like communicated. And now I'm thankful that I have two really good guys, and we're actually looking to bring on probably a third guy or gal, uh, and see where that goes, because we're growing a lot. Like we just closed out our highest revenue month since uh, starting the business. That was in October.
What'd you guys do, if you don't mind me asking?
So in terms of like booked on the schedule revenue, it was about 32,500 roughly.
That's
But
awesome,
in
man.
Yeah, so that was big. Uh, and in terms of payments that actually came in, because one vehicle spilled over into October from the prior month, and
Yeah, ours is the same
so,
way.
yeah, in terms of payments, it was closer to probably, gee, I'd have to check. 'Cause we took like $8,000 in payments yesterday. Um, Probably close to like 38 or 40 in total payments for the month, which is wild.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand that difference. Like, because I was talking about that the other day too. Is like, whenever money hits your bank account, that's technically when it's reported. At least that's how we do accounting. Like I think you can do it different ways. You can do it when
Yep.
the service is performed, or you can do it when the money hits the bank. Um, that's why we have accountants to handle all
Yeah.
that stuff. But if you don't deposit money until next month, that technically the service was rendered this month, it goes on next month's P&L. At least that's how we do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the same because, it might take a day or two for the money to hit the account.
Yep.
And we have a couple, at least on our end, a couple different ways to look at it, like internally in our CRM. You can see when something was marked as paid, so that'll technically show in the CRM right away. But then if we were to look in our accounting software, it would be when it hits the bank account.
Yeah. But man, I feel I can relate to you whenever you say that you don't really enjoy doing the cars. And for me, it was I never enjoyed really doing detailing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a really good book called The E Myth.
Yeah. That's an
You read that
amazing one.
book?
Yes, sir.
And it talks about this. And it's just to give like the quick recap. I think that the myth is that entrepreneurs start businesses when in reality, most small businesses aren't started by entrepreneurs. They're started by people that have a passion for a certain thing, whether that's running a bakery or doing car detailing.
Yeah.
And they start the business and don't realize everything that goes into running a successful business. And they had this passion, but then when they have to work 12-hour shifts and they have to manage customers and they have to do the finances and accounting and the marketing, they all of a sudden they hate what they do.
Yeah.
So this passion turns into like a burden almost. And it's like, man, I don't even enjoy doing car detailing anymore because I've got to handle all these other things. Um, and I think there's a little bit of just envy that we all have, especially in today's world with social media where you're always comparing yourself to someone else. And that kind of robs us of our happiness, which I think is a real problem. And I think we all need to work on, um, we all need to work on that and try not to compare ourselves to other people, but compare ourselves to who we were yesterday and really spend some time just asking ourselves, like, what do we want out of this? And that's going to be different than what other people want. And other people can show us like what's possible, like the Grant Menards of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then coming back to a place where we can ask ourselves, like, what is it that I want for me and my team and my family? Um, what makes sense for us? And like, we know that's possible, which is awesome that Grant's paved the way for that. But, there's also other people doing things a little bit differently. There's guys running solo shops making close to $500,000 a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so there's so many different ways to do it. But I was always from the beginning like you, where I wanted to grow the business side of things. And I didn't really see myself being a detailer or an installer in any way. And I found enjoyment in those things, just like I'm sure you have too.
Yeah. There's times where you're like, this is cool. Or for me lately, the way that the team is growing and building, uh, again, I've been installing a bunch of paint protection film and even tint. And I don't mind doing that stuff, but I don't love it when I'm getting interrupted constantly and I have to switch focus and then you're losing time, like switching mental gears. And if I could just install all day and not be bothered and other stuff was still handled, that would even be fine. Uh, that'd be okay. But there's other things that are high, a lot of times higher priority that, like with employees, you gotta keep stuff coming in, keep people happy, keep people informed. So you gotta juggle a lot of those things and keep the ball rolling. Otherwise, you're just head down doing your thing. You get everything done, look up, and then your schedule's not booked or you're coming up and it's like, man, next week's really light. That's probably because you weren't calling people or you were missing calls. Or like we'll handle walk-ins anytime they come in, but so many people can be followed up with, and you're missing out on so much revenue there. You're not doing that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like you're doing a pretty good job by making $32,000 last month and beating your record. So give yourself a
Yeah,
little grace on that.
no doubt. And I appreciate that. Even a buddy was like, well, congratulations, dude. I'm like, oh, I guess you're right. It's like, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they're goal oriented. You hit something, you're like, that's awesome. On to the next thing. And yeah, we all need to remind ourselves to take a second and be um, like measuring backwards. There's a good book on that rather than comparing yourself to someone else and what they've done, like look back to where you started and a lot of times you feel much better. You're like, man, 5 years ago, I couldn't have even thought of being here. So it puts it all into perspective when you look that way versus looking ahead, like where you want to be and what you're not, have not done yet. So that always helps. Um, and I'm excited for kind of where things are going. Again, I have a couple good guys right now, and they're kind of growing in their own paths, and we'll see what happens there. But that'll help to delegate some more stuff, and ideally, just help provide a better service at the end of the day to our clients.
What do you feel like you do best in the business?
I enjoy the relationship side, like customer interaction, like making the experience awesome, as well as like thinking through systems and processes. If I could just think like big picture all day, I'd be doing that. Uh, can't remember if it's the E Myth or another book, but there's like two business archetypes, if you will. Like you got the implementer, and then you got like the big thinker.
Is that a track? Is that rocket fuel?
Maybe, I don't know
Where
that
you've
I've
got the
read that one.
visionary and the integrator?
Yes, yeah,
And I'm sure this concept is probably in several books.
yeah. And it's like any solo entrepreneur starting out kind of has to be both, but ultimately people are probably more one or the other, and they either love doing one and hate the other. And if I could pick one that I love, it would be like thinking bigger and not getting stuck in the weeds of like solving small, minute problems or dealing with the little things. I find myself just getting frustrated when I'm coming back to like finding a simple document to send to someone or taking me away from the stuff that's like actually moving the needle and driving results.
Well, man, you've gotten this far and you've made a lot of headway on it with hiring your VA. So
Yeah,
that's something I have to remind myself all the time too, is it's like, man, like, we think about just starting, like how much more you had to do. And I mean, just maybe through stumbling forward, you've made progress. And so um it really helps when you start having like employees, a virtual assistant in place to where, maybe they're not doing everything that you need them to do or to the fullest extent, but it's so helpful to have those people in your life.
yeah, yeah. And I found it helpful recently to now that I have like a group of good people that are coachable and teachable. It's like if I try to notice when I'm ever feeling frustrated, it's like what am I frustrated about, and then thinking about how I can like put something in place so either someone else can handle it or it just is delegated or eliminated and transferred like to someone else, so then you can focus on more of the stuff that you get enjoyment out of, like
Yeah.
gives you energy rather than takes energy.
hmm Yeah. Do you feel like a lot of the frustration comes from not necessarily one thing, like you highlighted on the having to find documents, but more so just when there's a lot of distractions and a lot of things that you feel like you have to do all at once?
Sort of, like just thinking about a day, we all have those certain days that are just super busy where you're like doing all this stuff and you're like, man, I got a lot of stuff done today, but you look back, you're like, what did I really get done today? And it's hard to even find one thing that was super impactful in the grand scheme of things, but you got like a lot of small things done. So those are the days where I feel a little more frustrated because I don't have like that creative time. And that's something I've kind of been working on lately. I'm not a morning person like at all, and been forcing myself to get up early and take the like out nice hour or 2 hours before anyone's up, before like I'm here at the shop to like think and just sit in silence and see what comes up and work on things that I need to do on the computer, or put kind of pen to paper and just think for a little bit.
Hmm. What things like have there been anything specific recently that has come up?
In terms of like that time,
Hmm.
uh, just just being able to sit back and like look at the big picture, thinking about how it kind of all needs to play together, because you're in the weeds during the day. If like you're at your shop or you're interacting with customers, you're handling what's in front of you right now. And when I find that I can set that time aside and just sit with myself, you're able to think out a little bit more and get a broad scope of things. Like when you reached out and asked me to come on here, I hadn't even heard about your podcast before, but I started listening to it. And one I was listening to last night, like, forget who you were talking to, but it was a recent episode, and you were saying how like if you don't schedule it on the calendar, it's not gonna happen. And you guys were talking about training team members, and so getting time to do that, like I think it was last week we had a quote unquote lighter week, but it was intentional, and that was because we set Monday to Wednesday aside to start training for tint. Like one of my newer guys has shown interest in possibly wanting to learn tint, so those 3 days were literally just tint training. We didn't do any detailing, anything like that, and that was because I set it up like a month prior. If I wouldn't have done that, it wouldn't have happened, because you were saying the schedule just fills up, and that's exactly what happens. You don't put it on there, you don't prioritize it, and it just won't happen. So that time in the mornings like allows me to think through that kind of stuff more, and how that's going to put us down the line in say weeks or months, and how that's going to help just the overall business and even life, like enjoying life more.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I feel like oftentimes if you're not if you're not aware of it, you'll just play defense all day long.
Yep,
And
just
so,
like putting out fires.
literally, that's it. Yeah, you're a firefighter, and to some extent, as the business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have to be that. And I think going back to that book, traction and being like an integrator versus a visionary, and even like knowing yourself, like I think that some people might start a business and then realize like, man, I'm actually like I'm more of a visionary than an integrator, but I need to hire someone to be that integrator. I need to hire someone to manage the fires day to day, which is more of
Yeah,
like the CEO integrator type person, and that's okay.
yeah. It uh from a good mentor, learn like the concept is simple, but the execution is hard. And the execution is hard because the concept's so simple. And it's like thinking about it, you're like, yeah, it makes sense. But finding that person and getting to that point is like the hard part, the execution.
Yeah, it is hard to find and trusting that person, and oftentimes I think that person they either probably want um, a fairly large salary or they want equity in your business, and that's always hard to give up. Um, on that topic, I feel like if you're in it for the right reasons and if you have passion behind what you're doing, maybe not the work itself, but of where you're going and what you're building, if someone can see that, they are more likely to want to work for you if they share a similar drive than another company, even if you can't pay them as much.
Yeah,
Um, and maybe they want a little bit of equity. I don't always think that's bad. I read a book by Felix Dennis called How to Get Rich, and it was referred to me by a guy that I know who is extremely wealthy, and he idolizes money, which is not good.
yeah,
And I read the book and took it all with a grain of salt. And Felix was like, "Don't ever give up equity in your business. when I really start to think about it, I think that I can understand where he's coming from. Don't get me wrong, but I think that there is also a time and a place to like know when you need to use equity as a tool to help grow, and you almost have to get out of your own way. Like you're almost
Yeah,
getting in your way of being like, it's all mine, and I'm going to be the guy that does everything. When in reality, you're not that guy, and you need to have someone that comes in and help you. And maybe the best way to do that is to give up a little bit of equity in the beginning, because it might be hard to pay them more. So I mean, it's just a tool to use. I'm not saying that you always have to just throw someone a ton of ownership, um, but there's been a lot of people I've talked to on the podcast that they have the visionary, like the guys that are running the shops with 10 plus employees. They've got the visionary, and then they've got like the integrator that um, helps kind of manage the day to day. Like I think in Grant's business, I think Mikey's probably more of the integrator,
yeah, yep, 100%. Yeah, and
and
that's
Grant's more the visionary.
yeah, yeah. You were definitely right there.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a while to really like figure out who that person is. Like, and that's okay. You might have to do both for a little while, and you may even change. You may think at one point you're the integrator, and then you may realize that's like, no, I really enjoy doing more of the visionary type things. But um, yeah, that's just part of like showing up every day, and you learn more and more about yourself, and then having that time, like you were saying, to reflect and think through things, and really like think, what is it that I'm good at and enjoy doing.
Yeah, like life is busy. If you, the more I grow up, the more I realize like, yeah, you got to set this time aside or it won't happen. And I'm not sure about you. Like, are you married or anything?
Nope.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, no.
Okay, so uh, you got more time there on your hands. Like, I got married a year and a half ago. We've been together for almost like 8 years, so we've
Wow.
been together a while. She's seen all the growth and is thankfully super understanding about like putting in long hours and stuff. But at the end of the day, I gotta spend time with her and want to do that. So you gotta even be more intentional about how you're planning your days, and it can be frustrating when stuff sometimes turns into more than you expected because you got to get it done and do whatever it takes to make it happen when you maybe want to be doing other things. That's just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel I see what you're saying, and I can't understand it since I'm not in a relationship. But um, I can imagine that would be really hard, just with running a business and all that comes from it, and then still having to just communicate with your partner, and having hopefully that they understand, that things come up, and that ultimately this isn't, I can't just clock out at 5 some days.
Yeah, and for a lot of people that does not work. Okay, just a buddy comes to mind that he was in a relationship, then he started a business he was really passionate about, and found out he was leaving a 9 to 5 to do the 5 to 9 thing, and she didn't like that, and they were engaged and like about to get married, and they split up because she just was not having it. So for some people that does not work out, and it's a real thing. And like if someone's starting a business and they're in a relationship, they need to know what to expect, that that might be the case.
Yeah, sometimes I listen to Dave Ramsey's podcast, and he'll get people call in that are like in all this debt, and they're married, and one of the guys, whether it's the guy or the girl that's calling in, they're talking about like going to work overtime or going to work a second job, and just to get the debt paid off, because like they're in such a bad spot financially.
Yeah,
And he talks about the importance of like communicating with your partner, and like understanding this is a temporary period. Like this isn't something we're going to be doing forever. We're doing
yeah,
this for a certain time. We're going to live like no one else today, so that we can live like no one else tomorrow.
yep,
Um, and so yeah, we're gonna work overtime. Like all of our friends, they're gonna be out at the bars, going out on Friday, Saturday night, getting off and hanging out, watching Netflix every night. We're not gonna do that. Like for the next year, 2 years, we're gonna buckle down, and we're gonna really focus on this. And like if you go into it with a plan like that, ultimately, so that you can get out of your debt, or you can grow your wealth to the point where then you can hire someone to where that they can help out and set your future family up. If you go into it with a plan like that, I think that, and you communicate with your partner, I mean, I think that's probably the way to do it,
Yeah, yeah, you're totally right.
as long as they're okay with that.
For sure. It it needs to be a team effort a lot of the time.
Absolutely. Um, so when did you learn PPF? Like, when did you start installing?
Uh, Within probably the last year or year and a half, and that was, I mean, full disclosure, the only reason I learned PPF and or window tint was out of necessity. You guys were also talking about this on that other episode, but like a lot of people, start with detail and then realize they want to add tint, want to add PPF, and will generally start contracting it first.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what we did. We've had a couple of different contractors over the years. One that was decent, only one that was decent in PPF, and he could also tint, and then one that just has done tint for us before. And uh, it can just cause problems. Like if they're not reliable or don't show up and you have stuff on the schedule, then you feel like crap because if you can't do it or can't help them, you got to tell a customer they need to reschedule or like figure out something to tell them. And so I just got sick of that for a while. And even for a long time, we didn't stock any film or anything. And our one subcontractor, we like book something a couple days out. It's like, hey, it's a ceramic something. He's like, I don't have that in stock. I'm like, well, geez, dude, what are you doing? And like he would just wait till he was all fully out of something and then like maybe get some more. And so that was difficult. Then we eventually just started stocking all the film, like changed what we were paying them a little bit, and it just got old. So I was like learning as I was watching them and doing little things, and then just building up that skill. It was tint first, and then uh, PPF, just doing that hands on. Eventually went to a PPF training, and that really helped lead me forward quite a bit. And since then, I mean, we've done full cars, been doing a ton of film, and I've never had any formal tint training, but feel like I can do most things. There's sometimes where it's very frustrating and you figure it out because you have to. But uh, yeah, both of those things within probably the last year and a half to 2 years, and have just been building on that.
Jeez, man, you really did learn the hard way. No training, just dove right in.
Just just dive right in, dude. We have a shop near us that they've been around for like 30 years, and they're just kind of like everyone knows them, but they do tint and PPF and vinyl, and they're an Expel dealer. Like they've been doing it a long time, but they're not really growing. They're just staying where they're at. And we never had a plotter for a while. Didn't have film on hand or anything, so we would actually go to them for a number of vehicles and like have them plot us out PPF patterns, and then go to like install them. And at that point, you're paying more for the film because they're cutting it for you, and then you have like one shot. If you mess it up, you either got to go buy another one, or there's just the stakes were higher because you're like, man, I got to do this right. And we had a number of cars that like we figured it out, we got it done, but there was a lot of unknown factors. And when you do something for the first time, it's like you might be real nervous because there's yeah, just all those unknowns.
Talk about adding stress to your plate, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Thankfully, we're beyond that. It's just different stresses now. Not trying to train others to do that and being like stressed about them messing up and wasting film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you ever thought about going to a training?
For tint,
Yeah, like not necessarily a beginner since you're not there, but it's like more of an advanced or intermediate tent training or PPF.
I've thought about it, but at this point, honestly, I don't. I don't want to further my skills at all in those areas. Like I'm furthering them uh, just because I kind of have to as vehicles come in, but I'd rather put the energy into like my team and growing that and teaching them so that it can gain some more leverage and do more elsewhere. So I would love to have people like come out and actually train at our shop, which we're exploring that idea a little bit more and possibly learn some good things from that, but probably wouldn't go anywhere to do a tint training. But we do have like the one, so we use optical PPF right now, and like if you buy so much film with them, you get free trainings. That's actually how I got my first training. So we have like another training that we can use. I'd love to send one of my guys to that eventually, but right now I'm like the sole PPF guy.
So you did
And
do training at Optical for
yeah,
PPF?
for PPF, not for window tint.
Did you have Raleigh as your coach?
No, no, we had E-Man.
Okay. How was that?
It was amazing. It was just like that was. I think I actually did two trainings in one go, so it was like a 2 day and then a break and then a 2 day. So it was 4 total days of training, which was awesome. So you learned a lot in those 4 days, and you're not doing like anything else. So that's just how you can learn something so much faster. A lot of times people take forever because they're like doing a little bit here, a little bit there. And I feel like that helped take me from a base understanding to really a point where I was a lot more confident in knowing what I was doing, actually learning the fundamentals of film. Because if you know how the fundamentals work, it makes it so much easier because every car is different. But if you know how to stretch the film and know how to work it and like your how to fix issues and look for different things, you become so much of a better installer just all around. And it was hugely beneficial and just getting those reps every day, like installing on numerous panels, learning various things helps to translate to all these other cars that you might encounter.
So did you have a little bit of experience coming into that training?
Yeah, yeah, we had done a number of things here just prior to that. From well, the only training you might call it that I had prior to that was just Mike Norris' course online for PPF. So I had watched that stuff and learned some things, but had no hands-on training except for doing film here when we had to.
How was that online training?
It was good. Mike's an awesome guy, and it taught me a lot of the basics, like simple things like how to mix slip, what is tack. Uh, Mike talks a lot about just using hot water, and so we just use hot distilled water for our tack. Works great, and he shows you different cars and talks about installing on them. So it just helps mentally teach you some of those fundamentals, and then it all comes together when you're actually on the car and you're getting a feel for how that is and how it's actually working.
Hmm. Yeah, I've heard some people say that it's good to go into training without any experience so you can learn um, without having like bad habits. And then I've heard other people say, oh, you need to have some experience before you go in so that way you kind of understand the basics and you're just kind of sharpening your skills. Which one do you think?
I don't think either are right or wrong. I think you can get more out of a training with someone that's very advanced, already knowing the basics, because you're not asking all these simple questions. So that's why I feel like I was able to get a lot out of the training that I went to, just because I didn't really need to ask all these simple questions. It was just like I was asking questions in regards to stuff I've had problems with or encountered and was getting feedback on that like real time. So I just think I got more out of it because I had already had a little bit of knowledge on the subject versus being a complete beginner. But I totally see like you wouldn't want to learn bad habits right from the jump and then have to break all those. But even online, if you're just learning from good people, I don't think you would necessarily start with terribly bad habits.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Got a question for you. What's one mistake you made early on that you'll never make again?
Just in general, in terms of all business,
In terms of all business, yeah. All of your detailing business.
man, a lot of things come to mind. One that I felt pretty passionate about for a while, but I almost have rethought it because I've learned different things now. But it was like, don't hire friends or family. And I know other people have varying opinions on that. And now looking back on it, I think it was more of an expectation issue on my end, and also like we didn't have the processes in place and the system set up to be able to plug in. Because really, if you make stuff super clear, it's like doesn't matter who it is. Here's the expectations, and if you do your job as a good like leader and manager, then you can address stuff as soon as it comes up. But I let that kind of stuff go for a long time, and then it just built up like frustration and resentment. And so for a while, I thought it was for that initial reason that I mentioned, like because they were friends or family, and that maybe makes it harder to like say some of those hard things. But um, that's maybe one thing looking back that I could say, but almost feel a little differently about now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I agree. If you have expectations going into it, or if you feel like you're able to confront the other person um, early, like if you're comfortable with them enough to where you can confront them about it early, which is hard for a lot of people whenever you're friends or family because you don't want to disturb the relationship or you're worried about that. But if you can, then I think it can work out. I think my brother and I are probably a good testament to that. It's like I don't get me wrong. There's times where I try to be gentle and careful with how I say things. And sometimes that results in not saying anything at all. And sometimes that's the right way. And sometimes that's the wrong way to handle it. Sometimes
Yeah.
something needs to be said and you don't say anything because you're afraid.
Yep.
Um, but I would say in general, at least I'm not afraid to talk to my brother, whenever it comes to just problems and it doesn't make it easy all the time. Um, but when it comes to problems in the business, I'm not really afraid to talk about it. It's more just learning to do so in a loving and gentle way. Because I think that even if you have a good intention and you say something and you're angry and you're frustrated to the point where you start attacking or blaming, um, doesn't matter how good your intentions are, it's it's not going to go over well.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful how you approach things sometimes.
Yeah,
And I think you had hinted at it, but I didn't know you were in business with your brother. I knew you were like doing it with someone else. But that's awesome that it works for you guys.
it's important to be opposites in a lot of ways. I think the same is true with relationships, like with your significant other, that you would probably want someone that you guys can agree on the fundamentals, but you also probably need things that you're opposites on to balance each other
Yeah,
out.
it's funny. Funny you say that. My wife and I are like total opposites. Just zooming out and looking at each of us, like our, I don't know, character types, if you will. And it works well for us most of the time. Sometimes we butt heads. I think any relationship has that. And
Yeah, no,
yeah,
it's important to recognize that's a part of it.
business is like the same thing. Building a good team, you need people that think different or, enjoy different things. And something, as I'm learning to get better at delegation, just trying to remember that, maybe that's something I hate, somebody else absolutely loves. And not forgetting that, because too often you're like, oh man, well, you might feel bad handing it off to someone else or having someone else do it when it might actually bring them like thorough fulfillment and enjoyment. And it's just finding those right people and putting it together so that it all works kind of in
Hmm.
harmony.
Yep, I agree. at the same time, I think that there are some things that I've learned to find fulfillment from in my business, knowing that maybe it's not what I enjoy, but it's what I think God has told me that I need to be focusing on. Like, this is where I need to be helping out in my business. This is like, yeah, you don't necessarily enjoy it, but you do it the best. And
Yeah,
I think that's an important thing to recognize too. And I think you can learn to find fulfillment in it and knowing how much of an impact it has, even if it's small things that maybe no one even notices, has
yeah.
to be done every day.
It's like a book that kind of helped me recalibrate and feel like helps me every day now is start with why. So I was just questioning a lot of things. It's like coming back to really why did I start this now? How has the why changed? And what do I want now out of this? So if you're doing those small things that might frustrate you or you might not get, it's like ultimately what you want to be doing at the end of the day. When you tie it back into the overarching why, it it helps for me at least flip that. It's like, okay, I know why I'm doing this small thing, and also where I want to go, to the point I want to get to, which maybe is not doing that thing, but it ultimately contributes to the mission of the company and helping deliver on that. So it's like you kind of need to be doing that because it helps get you to that why.
Yeah. Well, and let's just look at like something small, even in our own personal life. Like, for example, at least this is true with me. I don't like waking up early in and of itself. Like, the moment that my alarm goes off at 5 a.m., I don't want to wake up. I want to stay in bed.
Yeah,
It's never changed, even though I've been doing that for 3 years now. Because I used to be like you, where I wasn't a morning person, and I'd sleep in pretty much till I had to go to work. And then I realized at some point that like this isn't sustainable. Like, this isn't who I want to be.
yeah,
And as much as it sucks every morning to get up at 5 a.m., and first thing I do is I hop in the cold shower first thing
yeah,
every morning. And it's never like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to wake up, get out of this warm bed, and go take a cold shower.
yeah,
But you do it anyway, man. And when you do it, and then even afterwards, I've got to go to the gym. That's like the first thing I do. And some days, like when it's leg day, or like I'm getting ready to do some intense cardio workout, I'm like, man, this is gonna suck.
yeah,
And you do it anyway. And then when you get done, you feel so much better. And it's like you're done with the hardest part of your day before most people even wake up.
yeah,
And so as a business owner that's going to just deal with problems all day long, like that's been so important for me, that time in the morning. Because then whatever comes from the day, like it's like I'm ready to handle that. And
yeah.
I've already uh, closed these problems and dealt with challenges early in the morning.
Yeah, that's huge. I could agree. I feel better when I do that stuff. It's just doing it. That's the that's the hard thing.
It
That
is, man.
moment, that alarm moment is when I falter a lot of the time. Like I'll just be like, yeah, I'm gonna get up, or I'll just sit here for like a minute longer, and then you open your eyes, and it's like 2 hours later. You're like, oh snap. Then you
And
feel worse.
you do feel worse, and I do that too. I'm not perfect, so there's definitely my days where I may uh, snooze the alarm and sleep in 2 hours, and I'm like, man, I feel like crap, and the whole day it's just like you're just not quite yourself. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and you can't if you don't show up for yourself first, then it's like you can't fully show up for other people, especially when you're like leading a team or trying to give other people guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like spirals, and then and you're just not your best self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I guess that's been one thing in life that it's like, okay, I recognize that this is good. It's good for me, but I don't enjoy doing it. But I guess what? I'm going to keep doing it because
Yeah,
it's good for me and I enjoy who it makes me, the person that I become when I do that. And I don't like the person I am when I don't do this thing. And so if that's true with this thing, it's probably true with some other things too. So just remembering that your entire day, I don't think should be things that in and of themselves, you don't like doing. Like you should find some time to like quote unquote like treat yourself or reward yourself or like things that like you love doing that. You've always loved doing that. Like maybe it's reading, maybe
Hmm.
it's maybe it's uh, detailing itself or installing. But then there's other things like maybe it's the social media part of it that it's like I don't want to do this. This
Yeah.
I've never liked doing this, but guess what? You have to do this to grow to the place you want to be, and this is a part of that, and no one else is going to do that for you. And
Yeah.
so try to find enjoyment in it to some extent. Maybe you find a way to make content that you enjoy, um, or have some help. Maybe you have an accountability partner, whether it's a
Hmm.
virtual assistant or someone part of your team. Hey, would you just help keep me accountable with this, and maybe help? We can set up a plan to where we can help each other record 1 or 2 days a week, um, just things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All super, super helpful. I need to implement more of that, like a solid accountability partner for things. Just like find myself thinking just go it alone, and a lot of times that's the hardest. It's the hardest way. And
Yeah,
if you
man.
get on board with someone, it's like you're more excited about it or don't want to drop the ball because you know someone else is doing their part too, and then you just maybe are more likely to go and put in the work and do the same things.
Yeah. Hmm. What's the single best investment you've made in your business?
It's a good one. I'm trying to think monetarily, but also like just action based. The best investment. I would say one of them. There's so many of them, but Detailer's Roadmap site has been amazing. Like, not to shamelessly plug them, but they do awesome for so many people, and that was something that for a little while, and especially years ago when we weren't doing the revenue that we are now, it's like this is a big expense, but how is that going to ultimately help us? And that has been a big thing that's helped us do what we're doing now. And I can't tell you how many people are like, your website just is so professional, like so helpful. If you look at any other person's website, like around us, they're just very lacking, almost little to no information. And I think that's been a huge thing that's like helped set us apart and build a more professional brand in our area because there's not a ton of saturation, like a lot of people doing what we're doing. There's like the little guys that pop up here and there, but not a ton of people that have been around for a long time, and just helps differentiate us a little bit more.
Hmm, that's a good one. What's something else you see other shops doing that you think is a mistake?
Ooh, a mistake. Uh, I yeah, I got to give some thought to this too, because I try to stay off social media as much as possible. I find that like if I'm looking at what other people are doing, I just feel worse about myself. So I don't really look at what a ton of other people are doing, except the ones that are like really doing it how I want to do it, or we're maybe similar. So like thinking about steak.
That's good. I agree with that too. Um, we talked about that a little bit earlier, not comparing yourself to others. And I think that's a really good way to be because it's really easy. I feel like most of the people that interact with our social media are other detailers. And,
Yeah,
it's like, guys, like, what are we contributing here by commenting on my page and telling me that I'm doing something wrong?
totally. Is it like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're like at least if we're making content here, I want our end customer to get value from it. I don't care about any other detailer out there. Like it doesn't matter how we do it, as long as our customers are happy. Like it doesn't matter how the sausage is made. You can do things however you want. Like I don't care about chemicals. I don't care about a traditional 2 bucket wash method. Like I'm trying to get stuff done and drive results out the door. And if people are happy, nothing else should matter. So maybe in terms of like a mistake is like put other businesses, detailers, shop owners paying too much attention maybe to like what others are doing
That's
and not
good.
like focusing enough on, hey, how am I better helping my situation or my customers or my team? Because that's what matters. That's what's there, and you're like, that's what's in front of you. And I think I maybe made that mistake for a while. I was just trying to post all this great content, not for other detailers necessarily, but I was spending so much time trying to do this like awesome social media. And now I've gotten so far away from that because I've found that like our business is doing better than ever because we're just focusing on the customer. And even seeing like your reels, I'm like, man, this guy's funny. Like they do awesome reels, but that's not necessarily me. Like I'd love to do that, but I don't know that I'm the guy that's going to do that. I'm just trying to put all that energy into our customers.
Yeah, it's good that you can recognize that. I think that maybe you're learning to look at things and quickly be like, that's awesome, but that's not me, and that's a
Yeah,
cool place to be.
and one thing just for anyone listening that helped me do that, I've been gone through these dips and mentally that I'm just like feel terrible. And during those times, I've like deleted all my social media. Like, let's just see what this does, and maybe I'll only go on it on the computer. But I don't have it on my phone, and I'm not gonna just click it out of habit and like doom scroll. Because almost every time you do that, you feel terrible after the fact. If you're not contributing anything, you're just sucking up everything that everyone else is putting out. And that helped me kind of sit back and look at my own habits like, why am I even doing this? And I'll now, like, times like now, I have Facebook and Instagram on my phone, but I'm not spending hours a day on there uh, just scrolling because I can break the habit mentally. So I will jump on. I'm like, what am I on here for? And uh, going through those periods of not having it has helped me build that habit and not focus too much on it.
Yeah, I love that, man. That was a good answer. Um, who's been the biggest, or who or what has been the biggest influence on you in your detailing business?
I biggest influence. I would say Grant is a big influence because he's doing it how I would like to do it. Like I don't want a shop as big as his, at least with me doing everything I'm doing now. But I would love a small, tight knit shop. Another book, I think it's Small Giants, like companies that intentionally stayed small just to do a really great job. And a lot of times that leads to a lot of revenue, but not going for this huge scale thing. That's definitely not what I want. And just being learning that it's more about kind of being actually a good business owner versus just being a great detailer. I thought I was that at one point, and now, like, I'll straight up tell you, I'm not the best detailer. There's so many guys that could do it better than me, and I could care less if someone is like, dude, I'll out detail you. I'll be like, you probably will. And as long as we're hitting the mark for the people that are coming here to support us, that's really all that matters for me. So I feel like Grant teaches a lot of that stuff, and he's thinking along those lines. And I don't really discover a lot of other new people except going to like maybe Mobile Tech Expo or conventions and things and meeting people, which is awesome. But I don't really look at I don't have a lot of other influences, I guess, in that
Mm-hmm.
regard.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think that just closing thought for everyone out there that maybe doesn't enjoy a certain part of their business, maybe they don't even enjoy detailing cars itself, I don't think that means that you need to stop your business, close shop, and go try to find something else. And I think that the E Myth is a good book to read that um, kind of hits on this point of like, what are you? Are you someone that is an installer? Are you the business owner? Are you an integrator, or are you a visionary? And just finding where you fit in and learning to hire everything else out.
Yeah, yeah, and get in a place where you actually find enjoyment from your business, because then it's exciting. Then you're like excited to do more. Even something like this, us just talking now, and it's not like we're doing a car or installing or doing something like that. Like this stuff gives me energy personally, and want to be able to fill my time with more of that, or just talk more high level with people. That's always the stuff that I'm like excited about and look forward to.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, anyone can do it. It just takes some thought.
Yep. Take some time away from social media.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big one. You'd be amazed, dude. One thing that's been super helpful, kind of last thing, is time blocking. Well, and also like a time audit. So going for like a week or 2 weeks and marking down every 15 to 30 minutes what you did for those 15 to 30 minutes. And then like looking back after that and putting a value to them, like whether it's dollar signs or like a little measuring system. But if you're someone that's on social media all the time, you'll see that maybe a couple hours of your day were spent on social media. You can even look on your phone. It'll tell you how much screen time you had. If you really think about it, it's like, what was I doing for that hour or 2 hours? Probably nothing. Nothing impactful.
Yeah, I like that, the time audit, and then maybe rather than maybe a dollar amount for some things, but also maybe like a meter on like 1 to 10 of like, how happy does this make me? How like fulfilled do I feel after doing this? Like how much is
Yeah,
this advancing me to where I want to be?
yeah. Because there might be something that you're doing like every day a lot, and it might not bring you energy. Or like another thing you can do that's very simple is a red or orange highlighter for like takes energy, and a green highlighter for like brings me energy.
Mm,
And then highlight all the things and see what's actually bringing you energy and what's taking it during your days, and then trying to figure out how to do more of those things.
I love that. It's a good one. Cool. Well, Cody, man, this was great, dude. And just keep it up, man. It's cool to see how far you've come and breaking records. So that's awesome to
we're
see.
we're trying. It's cool to be here, man. I think the first reel I ever saw you do was the like, hey, we're having a deal today. If you can get this thing in the bucket, uh, then
Oh,
it'll be half off. And even one of my guys, like we have a group chat, he sent that reel in there, and we always talk about it. We're like, we need to do that. And so it's just funny being here now, because then you get to talk to people that are behind the camera. It's funny how social media makes you think everyone's famous, and we're just all people trying to do all the similar things or same stuff in a different way.
that's right, man. That's right. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. And really appreciate it. Would
Yeah,
love to
dude,
talk to you
thanks for
again.
having me.
It's been great.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening.